Scrappy Crystal Palace team fight their way to a much-needed point from the Eagles' point of view. Aubameyang putting Palace ahead from the penalty spot. Arsenal down at the break. And Hodgson's team going then a goal down with goals in quick succession from Granit Xhaka with a brilliant free kick and Aubameyang amid some controversy from close range, and then controversial penalty at the other end. Zaha brought down, and Aubameyang steps up and scores. Finishes in the Premier League in South London. Crystal Palace 2, Arsenal 2.
Yep, finished level at Selhurst Park. 2-2 was the final score. Let's come to our Arsenal Nation Live guests for initial reaction on that game. Nigel Winterburn and Johnny Cochran. Nigel, we'll start with you. What did you make of the London derby today?
A little frustrated. I think we did enough over 90 minutes to win? Probably not. But being 1-0 down, we were all at half-time. Well, we know what our second-half performances are like. And fair enough, we came out, got the 2 goals into the lead. So from going into the lead, then that's where my frustration comes, because I think we were starting to control the game, but we got the second goal, and we just seemed to then relax a little, and then it looked as if Palace started to get a bit more momentum, a bit of belief, and drive us back. And I'd love to see the penalty again, because I'm still scratching my head and thinking, was it or wasn't it?
On the penalty, we've got lots of comments, understandably, about that. We'll have a look at those now. We've got a tweet here from Rob Price. Never a penalty, but I suppose that evens it up for Lacazette's handball assist. Do you think that penalty was justice for the handball from Laka?
I was literally going to say exactly the same thing. I mean, you know, if Lacazette's flicking the ball to his mate going, not that one in, then we can't really complain too much when we get a disgraceful penalty decision. What is the ref thinking? The problem is Xhaka has to stand the man up. He goes to get the ball, but then goes, no, I'm going to get done here. So he pulls his leg back. At that point, he can't disappear. So if Zaha runs into him and just falls over, that's not a penalty. If I run into someone on the football field and go, now I'm on the floor, that doesn't mean it's a foul. It means I have to try to get around them. If they then stop me, then it's a foul. That is not a penalty, I'm afraid.
There's two instances that we saw on the replay. One where it looks as if Xhaka just catches the side of Zaha's foot. But the over-exaggeration of the dive is ridiculous. And then the other one shows what Johnny was saying, him pulling away and not making any contact. So it is difficult for the referee, but what did I say to you after the Lacazette's little flick on? If there's a soft penalty decision to be made, it'll go against Arsenal.
Yeah.
You just know, it's just subconsciously it's there, you're waiting for it to happen. And the referee has to make a decision. He's right on the spot. I think, it's another day, it's not a penalty.
Well, let's have a look at what else our fans at home have been saying across our social channels. We've got a meme here of Laka. You know, as we said, potentially justice for that handball, that penalty. Another tweet here, lots of people expressing their views on Laka's handball. Goal line technology got us that goal for Aubameyang, but it did look like Lacazette handball. It did look like handball, didn't it? But, you know, that's the way the game goes, and unfortunately, you know, the penalty kind of came and bit us on the bum for that, didn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it looked like handball because it was a blatant handball.
Because it was.
In general, like, I don't know. First of all, as someone said in there was a foul going on in the middle of that whole instance. So, yeah, Laka's got his hand in the air, but he's actually getting his shirt pulled to the ground. So I thought that was a really good point about the VAR, because if it had ruled out the goal, we're expecting a penalty as well. And if you want to stick it on the Xhaka penalty, that's not a penalty if you look at that again, as far as I'm concerned anyway.
It would have been great to have watched VAR for that incident and the penalty incident, because, like we say, we think it's a definite handball, although someone was suggesting to me that he missed it, but we think he clearly hit it with his hand. But there was shirt pulling in there as well. Yeah. So potentially Arsenal had a penalty, and then we're looking at the Zaha incident. So VAR would have been very interesting just for those couple of incidents, just to watch and see what decisions they come up with. And I can tell you they won't have pleased everybody.
Well, let's focus on the positives now then. Let's talk about the Xhaka free kick. That's one way to silence the critics, isn't it? A tweet here, nearly passed out at work watching Xhaka's free kick. What a rocket. Xhaka is Bay. He's getting so much love from everybody around the globe. Xhaka's goal is mad. It certainly was. Better. Inject it into my veins. Love that tweet from Alec. Thank you to everybody who's getting in touch from around the world. We love to hear where you're flying the Arsenal flag from around the globe. Let's get your thoughts on the absolute bullet of a goal from Xhaka.
Look, I mean, when you're wrong, you have to hold your hands up, okay? And you have to say something's happened there, you know, where I have said that there's no way Xhaka should have started left back and even start in the starting lineup. But he's had a game where he might as well have told me to shut up, to be honest, because his free kick was sensational. I don't really think it was his fault for the second penalty, because I don't think it was a penalty. I thought, broadly speaking, he's had a really good game, actually. And, you know, just to show, you know, credit where credit's due, I haven't just got a vendetta against him. If I don't want him to start, it's because I see issues. But today, I think he's really shut me up, because I thought he was one of our best players.
Nigel, what were your thoughts on Xhaka's
I love
goal?
watching a goal from outside the box. I mean, it was a rocket, wasn't it? It was a terrific strike. And I was winding Johnny up a little bit as well, saying the keeper let it in. And he was like looking at me as if I was gone out, as if I was absolutely mad. But it was a sensational strike from the angle that it was at, and actually the goalie gets a little touch. But it's just the sheer pace and the dip on the ball that beats it. It's a wonderful strike. And I'm glad Johnny's admitted he doesn't know a lot about left-backs.
Our bad cops turned good.
It's all turned around, it's like usual suspects.
What's happening here? Well, let's move the conversation on to Ozil then. Of course, he was subbed off around 70-minute mark. He obviously wasn't impressed. We saw him, you know, throwing his gloves on the floor, didn't we? We've got a tweet here. Super ballsy decision by Emery to take out Ozil. Love that Ozil was steamed. He got taken off. We were actually discussing off air, weren't we? Was he upset with his performance? Was he upset he's been taken off? What did you make of Emery's decision to bring Ozil off today?
Listen, I admire a manager who's willing to take off your most creative player. He wasn't really involved in the game today a lot, Ozil, but we said, you know, he sort of comes in and drifts in and out of games quite a lot. It just wasn't his afternoon. The incident where he comes off, he throws something to the ground. As long as that is frustration from being brought off and frustration with yourself that maybe you know you can play better, but have the respect of the manager and have the respect of the player coming on. As long as you shake the manager's hand if he puts it out to be shaken, and you shake the player's hand coming on, then I don't mind Ozil's reaction, because it shows me that actually you do care. When a lot of people question at times, it looks as if he doesn't care. Well, that sort of shows me a little bit. Well, he does care, but his performance wasn't, you know, it wasn't up to what Unai Emery wanted. So he took him off. I don't see the issue. I really don't.
Well, let's see now what everybody's saying on Facebook. We've got a Facebook comment, from Gabrielle. Big mistake to take out Ozil for Rambo and Oba for Wales. Laka should have been subbed off instead. That's interesting, actually, isn't it? Because I think that was something, actually, Johnny, you mentioned. It wasn't Laka's best performance today, was it?
I thought he was quite poor. In all honesty, I thought he was poor today, and I've been really impressed with Lacazette this year, but that's the kind of performance we don't need. At the end of the day, his link-up play was stilted. It didn't click with anyone today. I thought his was the biggest kind of contribution towards the goal as well. Like the ball back across it was played without care. It wasn't to anyone, and then they break on us. And you have got to be much more careful playing in a team like this, where we're rebuilding confidence. Our defence is not completely to where we would like it to be in the long run. You've got to be defending from the front, and you just can't be just launching little balls into the box thinking people get. It's not good enough. It's late on in the game, and so I think, I don't think it was the best performance by Lacazette today. In terms of Ozil, we did discuss this at half-time, but during the half. My issue with Ozil, like Nigel was saying, if he's kind of just annoyed with himself, then that's the kind of thing we want to see, isn't it? It's the kind of passion, it's the kind of self-reflection of, I've just had a monster game against Leicester. I want to come in here and, I've got the captain's armband to show how good I am, but it's not gone my way, so I'm annoyed. That's absolutely fine. That's what we want to see. If it's a, how dare you take me off, it's like, well, look how you were playing. You weren't great. You weren't getting into the game properly. Yeah, I think Lacazette could have gone off, but there's no issue with taking Ozil off from me.
I think, to be fair, any of the front three could have been taken off, and so could Ozil. So the manager's never gonna get everything right. What I like about this manager is, do you know what? I don't care who you are. I'm in charge here. If I think it's right for the team and the good of the team, I'm going to take you off, and I admire a manager who does that.
Yeah.
Well, let's revert back to Facebook once more and see what else you've been saying on there. Stephen, naive defending, and you could argue Zaha bought the second penalty, but with the amount of matches and travelling the team have done this week, I'd have taken a point today. That's a really interesting one, actually. We mentioned in the pre-match show it has been a busy week for them. They've been in action 3 times in quick succession. But can you blame that on a slightly not up to par performance?
I think when you play a lot of matches, the fatigue can start to set in. And the Arsenal of last year or the year before that, without a shadow of a doubt, I think we'd have lost today. Not just drew. I think we'd have lost. But this is one of the things that we're trying to step away from by using all of our players in the squad, and by getting fitter, playing with higher intensity. That's when we can move into a situation where there is no drop-off. Certainly this early in the season, you go to Sporting Lisbon, which isn't the longest flight, by the way, coming back, you're ready to roll and you're doing another team over on the weekend. And that's what we need to move into if we're going to maintain long-standing challenges for the league and the big competitions in the future. I don't think we're going to do that this year. I don't think we're going to win the league. I don't think we'll challenge for the league. If we can get top 4, I think everyone needs to be realistic. That is seriously good stuff this year. If we get top 4, we've done very, very well. And I think we can do it. But this is the difference between what it will take to win a league and just get top 4. I think this is a top 4 result. It's definitely not a league-winning result for my money.
Well, let's head over to YouTube now then and take a look at some of your thoughts over there. Harry says, Xhaka should play in the attacking mid. He's shaped both the goals, and it's sad he was made to shape a goal for Crystal Palace as well. Another comment on YouTube here, Torreira was good, but Ozil should have played the whole game. Going back to that Ozil debate, again, matter of opinions.
For me, we're talking about Ozil because he's brought off and maybe the reaction, but to me the game today was a little bit flat for large periods. Now that you can be affected by the travelling you've had to do and the games in a short period of time, but the positive from it is we're still continuing to be undefeated, and I think that's a real positive. Like Johnny said, probably guarantee last year we would have gone on to have lost this game. So we shouldn't be all like doom and gloom because we haven't got the perfect result that we wanted. I think we still fully understand there are lots of things that the team need to work on with Unai Emery, but we are seeing him do things that we're all saying, oh, I'm pleased he did that because we haven't seen it before. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm frustrated, but I'm not disappointed by the result. And I can see things that we are moving forward. It's probably not as we want it at the moment, but that's good for the future because we say, well, it's not as we want it, but 11 wins and 1 draw. And we're still trying to find things to discuss and say, we can get better. We certainly can get better. So there's a lot of positives there.
There absolutely is. And one of the positives, of course, we have to take from this season is Aubameyang. We've got some stats on the screen here. Quite phenomenal, really. It was his 6th Premier League goal today. An Opta stat there on the screen, another tweet here. Oba has scored with each of his last... Sorry, I've missed that one. Don't know if we can go back to it. There we go. 6 shots on goal in the Premier League, which is just incredible, isn't it? I think we're moving on to another one. Last one here. Aubameyang officially has the best minutes per goal ratio in the Premier League history of those who have scored 10 plus goals. That's astonishing. And as you said, Nigel, there's so many positives to be taken from this season so far. And actually, as you said, we've still got a point from today's game.
I think you know, speaking specifically about Aubameyang, it's interesting. I heard people make the comparison, a bit tongue-in-cheek probably, with Henry and Wright, with him and Lacazette. But I actually, the more I watch Aubameyang, he's more of a poacher. Yeah, he has a cake, like he scored a nice little curler against Cardiff, I believe, and that looked a bit like Henry. But most of his goals just in and around the box. He's alive, he's alert, he just gets in there and he's too quick to be stopped. And I think that, you know, that's what we need to play to his strengths. That's why I think he does really well coming off the bench, because he doesn't necessarily need to play his way into this big, you know, he gets himself where, you know, the checks get handed out and he knocks them in. And I think that, I'll discuss it again in the second half, I think they will both have to hit 20 personally, and I think Oba definitely will hit 20 this year in the league, unless he gets injured.
Well, fingers crossed. He's certainly impressed so far. But, guys, that concludes our Arsenal Nation Live show for this afternoon. I'm going to have to push you guys and ask you for just a one-word answer to sum up today's clash against Crystal Palace. Nigel, we'll start with you.
Mine's easy. Frustrated.
Frustrated.
Yeah, annoying for me. But there you
Both
go.
turned into bad cops at the end there. Nigel, I was counting on you and being my good cop.
No, but I could add another one word, happy, but I'm frustrated because I didn't think we were great, and I'd have took at 1-0 down, I'd have took a draw, and obviously at 2-1 up, I want 3 points. So I'm frustrated, but I'm happy as well.
Well, onwards and upwards. Nigel, Johnny, thank you so much for being on the show. And of course, thank you so much to everybody for getting in touch with us on Arsenal Nation Live today. We are, of course, back in the studio on Wednesday for our clash against Blackpool. You can join us from 7:15 p.m. and we're back in Premier League action next weekend when we take on Liverpool. So do make sure you join us then. But that's it from us today. It's been a good one and we'll see you soon.